Well, good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Hey Tash, how's it going?
Pretty good. Weather's nice. Uh, Flowers are blooming. What can what can be wrong?
Well, the pollen and allergies, but that's my
Oh,
kids. I'm
yes.
actually luckily don't have allergies nowadays.
Actually, I don't either, but I felt something in my throat yesterday. I'm like, crap. But in any case, pollen does seem worse this year than before. But
Yeah,
all right. So what are we talking about today?
yeah. So I think I'm gonna be talking about real estate, and I'm gonna go over maybe how I got the properties. I think one of the episodes, early ones, we went through how I bought the first one. So maybe we're just gonna go through the whole real estate journey, how I got from that property, and now I guess I lost count. But it's like two, four, six, like around 8 units, but three of them are two family properties.
So how did your journey begin? Why don't you take us back?
Yeah, so we went over it in the first one of the first episodes, but let me just go quickly over it. It was in Kansas City, Missouri. It was $72,000. So I took a loan out of from my 401k, $20,000. So that covered the down payment, which was like 14 something plus closing costs. So the $20,000 covered everything. I bought that property and it rented out and for like 850 at the time, and it covered my mortgage and made a few $100s. It wasn't that great. So then I think for a few years until 2018, I didn't buy any properties because I didn't have money. So 2018, the property appreciated in Kansas City. Uh, I was able to refinance, cash out. It appraised for $110,000, so I was able to take out 20. I was able to take out a loan of 85% of that and paid off my first mortgage, and I was left with like $25,000 or something like that. And I bought a two-family house in Buffalo. Yeah, those houses don't exist at this time because there's $92,000 for a two-family house. So my down payment and everything was maybe 25,000, 30,000. So the money I got from the cash out refinance, I bought this property in Buffalo. And I also used some of my own money because I had to fix it up and furnish it because I was using that as an Airbnb.
So
So
let me just get some clarification. You just took equity out of your Kansas City home, or
right.
you sold it?
No, I did a cash out refinance, so I kept the house, but it appreciated in value. And the bank, the lender I used, they allow you to take out 85%
Of
of
the
the value
appreciation or of the full value?
of the full value. So for $110,000, 85%, I was able to take out what is 90 something thousand dollars, and then I had to pay off my original loan, which still had like 60 something thousand dollars left, and whatever costs involved the refinance, I got the difference, which is like 20 something thousand dollars, which I used to buy that second property. And
Okay.
then so then with that property, actually by that time I had already finished paying off my 401k loan, or at least really close to it, because it's a 5 year loan when you're taking a loan from a 401k, at least mine, unless you're buying a primary house, a primary you know, residence. So I was almost finished paying it off. And since I was doing research in Buffalo, I liked this area, which is right outside of a really hot neighborhood, I guess, where the hip restaurants and bars that people go to in Buffalo. So this area that I like is right outside of it. So I thought that it would appreciate because there was a lot of development going on. And I found a house for $200,000. I got it for 205,000. I guess my offer was accepted, and so I bought that house. It's actually somebody was flipping it because they bought it and they renovated it, and that's how I got it. It was nicely done. It had stainless steel appliances and every the hardwood floors and the were redone, and the bathrooms and kitchens were updated. So I borrowed $50,000 from my 401k, which is the maximum, and I used that as my down payment for that property. So that was in 2019. And after that, and that on that property, it rented for around 100 each unit, and I covered the mortgage, and I made some cash flow from that. And then at that point, I think my Airbnb was doing well, that one in Buffalo, and I had used that money to renovate the house, and I wanted to get another one because it was doing well. And I was able to do a cash out refinance on that property, the first one, which was $92,000. I bought it at. I think it appraised at 165 or so, 165, 170, around that range. But I put at least over $20,000 because that house was needed a lot of work.
Mhm.
So it appraised for like 160, 170 range. And for two-family or multifamily houses, you're allowed to take out 70% equity. So I was able to take out around 40, 45, $50,000, and I used that money and I bought another two-family house in Buffalo, which was $171,000. So the down payment and closing costs is around 50,000. So that money went to that. And I was going to make that an Airbnb also, but this was my closing was in March 2020. And if you remember, that was right when COVID was here, and then Airbnbs were shut down. So I turned that into a long-term rental. So it rented for around 1,100 also per unit. So that covered uh my mortgage and stuff, but the Airbnb was doing better. So I want to get another property at some point. This I guess after a few months of COVID, in the summer people were a little anxious, and they went out. They went on vacation, and my properties in Buffalo did pretty well. So I was like, let me get another property. And my property manager at the time said Niagara Falls was in high demand. He said most of the guests liked were going to Buffalo and then driving to Niagara Falls. So he said that it would do well. So I looked at properties in Niagara Falls, and at this time, actually, my property in Kansas City, I decided to sell it because you know uh, I was focused on Buffalo, and also I think they wanted me to fix it up because I hadn't done anything to it much after buying it, and I guess the tenants have moved out. So I decided to sell that property for 115, and after I got to pay taxes and whatever costs, I got maybe $20,000 back. And my property in Niagara Falls that I bought, and this was in 2021, was 110,000. So that's $20,000 was basically used for the down payment for that one. And that house was already an Airbnb, so I didn't have to furnish it. I had to pay like a small minimal fee to buy his furniture, although I didn't use most of it because it seemed like he got most of it from like some garage sale, like your
Mhm.
grandma's furniture or something. So I upgraded.
Estate sales. Yeah.
Yeah, I upgraded the furniture, some of it, and so that's how I got that property. That was in 2021, and like I said, the Airbnbs were doing well, and I was like, I want another one. And at that point, around 2022, I think the house that I bought for $205,000, which I was hoping would appreciate because it's in a good neighborhood. There's a lot of development going on. It appreciated for $275,000. I was able to take out 70%, so around 40 something thousand dollars. And I found a one family house in a suburb of Buffalo in Amherst. It's near the SUNY Buffalo. And that house was $210,000. So I put down like 40 something thousand dollars, 20% down. and spend money to furnish it and fix it up. But for the most part, it was pretty good condition, and I'm renting that out on Airbnb also. And so I think that's pretty much all the properties for now.
So good example of using one, leveraging one to go to the next one, So I have a
Right.
question.
It's like, mhm.
Um, when you take these equities out, what happens financially? Does that mean that the bank increases the loan that you have on the house? So your monthly mortgage rates go up? Or is it that there's something like a lien on the house that you still owe that much money that you're taking out, that once you sell it, you have to repay? So I'm unfamiliar with taking that equity out. What does that mean
It's actually like
on
a
the
whole new
appreciation?
loan. It's like an
So
entirely new loan. So when I take out the money, I pay off the original mortgage. So there's no more, you know, lien or
got it.
mortgage from
The
that.
original morning is gone, and then you're
Right.
basically at buying it from yourself, kind of, I guess, or buying it from
I
the
guess.
bank for the higher value of the loan
Right.
of the house.
So yeah, so your monthly payment would go up because your loan amount is higher. But luckily for me, for I think one or two times that I did it, my interest rate was actually lowered because the interest rates fluctuate, and at the time, the interest rates went down, so I was actually able to get a lower rate. So even though my payment went up, it didn't go up that much because the interest rates had dropped. But I mean, there's another option. I think what you're thinking about, maybe if you were to take out a home equity loan, you would take a loan from your equity of your property, and then you'd have another lien on the property. But whereas
Mhm.
this one, I did a cash out refinance, so basically just replaced the original mortgage. It's almost like recycling
So
money. So I didn't really have to use, you know, that's what I felt was I was able to do to scale and buy more properties because I didn't really have to
that makes
use
sense.
that much of my own money.
So how so your initial 401k, or maybe you leverage your 401k for maybe two of the house purchases. After that, you
Right,
just leverage the appreciation of some of your homes, and the equity that you built on it to kind
right.
of buy the down payment.
I
Wonderful.
mean, the timing was better because the interest rates were low at the time. I guess the last year, it's skyrocketed. So this strategy would be a little harder. I mean, it's still doable. I mean, if the numbers work, but
Yeah,
it's
but
definitely
it
not
kind of
as
seems
good.
like whenever you need, you can buy out, cash out, as long as you can always refinance, right? Like that's really not
Right, but
something that stops you.
I wouldn't want to refinance my interest rate for I guess like around in the fours. I don't want to refinance into the sevens.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, I
what I
really want
meant
the money, but
was you do what you do at the time that you need to do it. And then let's
yeah,
say it is six now, but you know in 2 years it will go down to three or four, or you suspect, you can always refinance. I think every
right,
is X amount of money on X amount of dollars. So you can figure out if it's worth it. And a lot of times you can put the cost of the refinancing into the loan itself, right? Um,
yeah.
so you don't really have to put much cash out of your own pocket. Great stuff. I guess you're going to continue doing the strategy of building equity, cashing out, using that equity to get the down payment on your next property. So you don't really see the profit in cash because you're using it to reinvest in your strategy of building your equity.
Right. I don't really. I'm not using it to buy a fancy car or anything. I'm using the
Right.
money
You're
to
not
buy
putting
more
in savings.
properties.
You're just using that.
Yeah, basically.
It's great. And I think a lot of people might have more specific questions on some of the things that you said. And if they do, I'm hoping they put it in the comments so you can take a look.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else that is worth mentioning in your journey?
I think for the most part, that's pretty much it. And I I would say that the cash flow for the Airbnbs now also helps me, build up a pile of money where I want to use that to reinvest it and buy more properties. So it's a combination of the monthly cash flow from the rentals and appreciation where I'm going to use that capital to buy more properties. And I know it's a little more volatile now with the housing prices um, and interest rates, and also like personal for me personally, I guess I'm looking for a primary residence, a co-op because I live in New York City, so I might take a pause from buying, but definitely hoping to buy more in the future.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Andrew, for sharing your journey. And we'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time.